Hello, this is the Bearded Review. Thought I'd come to you guys again with a weekend video, something just unscripted, something I just want to put out there and do spontaneously. Just listening to the politics going on in the last few days, and man, it's like yeah, everything seems to be kind of upside down, topsy turvy. I don't know, you know, like it's I watch a lot of Tim Pool. I watch a lot of Steven Crowder, and you know, kind of like to stay on the news that way. But man, it seems like for all the media attention that both Pool and Crowder get, it's so easy for the media to just thwart all that and kind of just smack it down and impose these kinds of false narratives and realities out to everybody. And like, man, so what we had just this week, we had the massage parlor got shot up by a white man. All of a sudden, you have a bunch of Democrats coming out saying, end racism towards Asians and Asian power and stuff, But what's really off to me is, okay, right, fine. So you have Biden coming out, you have Kamala Harris coming out saying, hey, we stand with you, the Asian community, but you stand with the Asian community when, Democrat-funded schools have been kicking Asians out and rejecting their applications for colleges because they test well, because they test too well. They test way too well. And so now you have minorities, a minority group, Asians, actively not being able to enter the schools that they would like to because they do too well, right? So they're the best test takers nationally, right? Best subgroup on this planet. Second, not even second to anyone. I mean, the Jews are second to the Asians. The Jewish are the second most economically well-to-do subgroup in America, right next to the Asians, which are the best economic subgroup in America. And so, you have a lot of people, a lot of blue check marks, a lot of, bleed blue people, even if they claim they're center, that's something else. You have a lot of these, bleed bluers and whatnot. And I don't mean bleed blue like support the cops. I mean bleed blue like support defunding them. A lot of these people, man, like they'll start posting, Asian what? Because they're the new ticket, right? You support Asians all of a sudden out of nowhere because they're the new ticket. Okay, that's fine, right? Cool. And you hate, the white supremacists that shot up the massage parlors. But here's the problem, right? So you have I'm not going to name him, right? Because I don't want to give that kind of attention to the man who shot up a massage parlor. Because you really shouldn't give attention to these people, right? They don't deserve it. And when you say their names, that's really all you do is you give them the attention that they seek. So they call it, it's an atrocity, it's an act of horror, an act of white supremacy, and it was super racist of him to do that. But that's kind of weird because the synagogue shooting that happened a while ago, what was the other one there that got shot up? I can't remember the other shooting, but there's another shooting I was thinking of. And it's like these two white supremacists owned up to it, right? They had whole manifestos, and they owned up to being white supremacists because obviously that's the hill that they wanted to die on. That's the hill that they climbed to the top of. But this man who shot up the massage parlor, and I'm not saying I defend this guy, I don't, right? So what he did was nasty, what he did was horrible, but he said to the police officers that he didn't do this out of racial motivation. He didn't. It wasn't a hate crime in the sense that he didn't do this specifically targeting Asians. No, he shot up a massage parlor, right? Subjectively, it's a massage parlor. for the more sexually active variety, if you will. And the guy claimed that he had a sexual addiction, and he took it out by bringing an AR to a massage parlor, a group of massage parlors, shooting up the massage parlors, killing, I believe, 6 women. And he told the police straight up that it wasn't even racially motivated, that he did it out of regret, and that he was sick of himself for having this sort of an addiction. It's still shitty, but even he's not owning up to the fact that it wasn't, even he's owning up to the fact that it's not racially motivated. So the police, in a press conference that came out, the police chief says, well, he had some indicators. He had given us some indicators suggesting that it wasn't racially motivated, but that the man may have had a sexual addiction and that he was having a bad day. And a bad day is underplaying it. Okay, fine, maybe, right? Maybe it was a poor choice of words. Maybe the guy just didn't know how to word it. But it wasn't racially motivated, because when he was asked, he goes, no, I don't believe it was racially motivated. Now that police officer is getting a lot of flack for underplaying it, and he's just covering up for a hate crime. Okay. How about the hate crime that happened when they pushed down, when the African-American man pushed down an 87-year-old Asian and killed him because his head hit the concrete and split open and he bled to death? Right? Nobody talks about that. Oh, right. So black crimes. How about George, what is it? JFAZ, George Floyd Autonomous Zone in Chicago. A kid was shot in the autonomous zone. Police couldn't get to him because they were blocking the way of the cops. So the cops couldn't get in to save the kid. So now you have the family of this kid, right? They're all crying and they're all sad because they just lost somebody. Hey, I know what it's like to lose somebody, right? So now you have a bunch of these people gathered around this body. The cops can't get there. In fact, the cops actually stopped answering calls to the autonomous zone because they were met with heavy resistance trying to get in, right? They couldn't even access the zone. And you're like, oh, well, somebody out there might be thinking, oh, defund the police and unite the police. What about the security in, JFAZ? Okay. There was none, obviously. The kid died, right? Nobody was able to get in to save him. Nobody was there to help him. He bled to death without any medical help. They couldn't let the paramedics in there because the zone was considered hostile. So the police couldn't get in there to secure the zone so that when the medics went in, they would be safe. They couldn't. And it's not even like medics are armed. They're not, or at least not supposed to be. So there's this article put out by Star Tribune. It's called George Floyd Square, Revolution by Day, De-Evolution by Night. And it's really sick. It's really kind of messed up. So it shows a picture here of a portion of the block of the autonomous zone around the memorial. I don't know if any of you have really ever played The Division, Tom Clancy's The Division, but it really just looks like that. It's kind of messed up. But really just look into the first paragraph, and you're thinking to yourself, like, this kind of sounds like Afghanistan. You know what I mean? Well, in Chicago, so you actually have a higher likelihood of dying in Chicago than you do in Afghanistan, statistically, by the Department of Health. Was it the CDC or maybe the FBI crime statistics show that you're actually more likely to die in Chicago than you are to die as a soldier in Afghanistan, which is kind of messed up. But it doesn't sound so far-fetched after you read this article put out, again, by the Star Tribune, George Floyd Square, Revolution by Day, De-Evolution by Night. So it timestamps a lot of things. It says March 6th, 5:45 p.m., a 30-year-old volunteer is killed in the zone by gunshot. People in the zone are seen picking up shell casings and throwing them into the city garbage, loading the gunshot victim into a car and to drive him to a hospital. 8:20 p.m. Neighbors call 911 again. Multiple shots ring out. Children listen. March 6th, 6 garages along our alley are hit by gunfire, one with its owner inside. A car crashes through a fence into a family's backyard. An 18-month-old had been playing near that fence minutes earlier. 5 p.m. 30 shots hit cars and windows in the sidings of at least one house, narrowly missing residents watching TV. Parents and children out biking, walking around on a sunny day, ducked behind the house. Children watch bullets kicking up in the dust in the streets. A zone leader visits a bullet-riddled house to comfort the family, while others from the zone are observed picking up shell casings behind her. So what's really messed up about all this is, I'm having a tough time reading them, sorry. What's really messed up about this is, in the first paragraph, right? So between 5 o'clock, so between March 6th, 5:45 p.m. and March 7th, you have a car hitting a house, right? Or a car running through a fence where a kid had just been playing, a kid getting killed, multiple gunshots ringing out, 30 gunshots at one point. What does it say? 5 p.m., 30 shots. 30 shots hit cars and windows in the siding of at least one house, narrowly missing the residents. I mean, like, I don't understand where any of the sanity is for this. And it's like, oh, well, the government should really do something about it, or is the National Guard. The problem is just analyzing the fact that this autonomous zone exists at all, right? And I get it. We're Americans, so it's kind of like what we do, right? So you look at the revolution, you look at the Civil War, kind of going against the grain is kind of like fundamental for Americans. But the problem you start to run into is there's no police in these areas that the people have made, not at least an effective police force that the people have made themselves. And the police force that is there was so heavily defunded in Chicago because the mayor actively participated in defunding the police as well as the governor. So now you have police that aren't equipped enough to get into the zone and do what they need to, right? And so it's like, all right, so a kid just died. But you don't hear about this on the news. You don't. CNN never covered it. CNN covered the white man shooting the Asian ladies. That sucks. I get it. But this also is a problem because now you have an autonomous zone here, which is it's almost untouchable. Cops can't get in. No efforts has been to shut it down, to thwart it out. But now you have families, having to listen to gunfire all night. I mean, I get it, right? I come from Rhode Island suburbs, so I don't hear gunshots. The only time I hear gunshots is when I go to the range. These people aren't at a range. Well, I guess technically the people of, JFAZ turned it into a range. This kind of reminds me, I'm old enough to remember 5 months ago when there was the group of, the 4 kids in a SUV that Chaz Chop security thought they were hostile for some unknown reason and unloaded on the car for almost 30 minutes straight. And then they destroyed all the evidence because the police couldn't get in to figure out what had happened. And the only way that we were able to find out what happened was from eyewitness recounts. I get it. I'm not from Chicago, so this is really hard for me to speak on. This is really hard for me to really kind of fathom, right? So I can't really imagine this. Obviously, I've never been to war, and I've never been to Chicago, so it's kind of hard for me to imagine what it's like in a situation like this. But man, even somebody who's ignorant to living in Chicago, I know that this probably isn't right, This was March 8th, 2:30 p.m. Multiple shots fired. A man is photographed reaching... the man is photographed perched atop cup foods with an assault rifle on a tripod. Children cry. Zone medics are offered to visit neighbors and provide mental health support to those being traumatized, which, yeah, I'd imagine that the people of JFAZ are probably getting traumatized by just endless gun violence. and then all of a sudden you start to hear, well, see, now you're advocating, this is a good way to start advocating for anti-2A. But no, it's not. Because you look at Texas, right? You look at, I believe, Tennessee, if I am correct. You look at Tennessee, an armed society is a polite society. I'm sorry, but if you're able to give back to the people, so you take away 2A, right? You start to subtract their rights like you have been, shall not be infringed, has been infringed upon for the last 70 years, 80 years, right? So now okay, fine. So you remove firearms from the civilian. That doesn't stop gang members from acquiring firearms through backdoor or black market deals. It'll, just like they get cocaine. Cocaine's not legal, but sure as if it isn't hard for them to get it. Weed probably is legal in Chicago, but something harder. There's just no realistic way for you to be able to remove the ability to own a firearm and then keep people safe at the same time. It's just not going to work, right? Don't do that. Sorry, my cat. So multiple shots. So now you have a man here, right? So there's no police force. So now this guy has to come out and sit atop a Cup Foods with, and I believe they don't mean, I don't believe they mean an assault rifle, probably just an AR-15. But now this man is sitting on top of Cup Foods with an AR-15 on a tripod, right? So now he has to keep overwatch over his business because police can't get in there, and now there's no rule of law, so this man has to rule the law. So visit neighbors and provide mental health support to those being traumatized. 9:50 p.m., 30 shots ring out. A person complains to a neighbor that the neighbor has parked. So I heard about this one. So the shots ring out. Neighbor has parked too close to the neighbor's car. The zone occupant, with no connection to the two parties, fires multiple shots into the neighbor's car in the house. The neighbor, which was a military veteran, is in the driver's seat and recognizes the AR-15 with their. I'm trying to reword in here because the article's kind of inaccurate. So it says the driver, which is a military veteran, is in the driver's seat and recognizes an assault rifle with a 30-round clip. I'm pretty sure he's not running around, like Tim Pool said, I'm pretty sure he's not running around with an M1 Grand, modified to fire full auto with a 30-round stripper clip in it. He probably is saying that it's an AR-15 with a 30-round mag. But even still, so he recognizes an AR-15 with a 30-round mag. The shooter walks back into the zone. 4 police squads caravan through and meet the neighbors nearby. So that's at 9:50 p.m. On March 8th. And the last paragraph happened on March 8th at 2:30 p.m. Multiple shots fired. And this was the man on top of the rooftop, was photographed at March 8th, 2:30. Now later on at 9:50 p.m. The same night, about 20 minutes later, a second 911 call provides a description of the shooter, who remains in the area appearing to wait for some target. Police have just received a call about a teen and an adult shot 2 miles away. Resources exhausted. The police will not respond to our call. The shooter in the zone walks away. Right? So I just told you about the police in Chicago getting defunded all across Chicago, right? All across Illinois. And it's like you get what you lay in the bed you made, It's not even like that. It's like saying you made a shitty bed and now people you don't know have to lay in it. The message still stands that, oh God, living in a situation like this where now the police won't even come to your call. It kind of reminds me of that Tom McDonald song where he says, call the police and call Uber Eats, see which one gets to you first. In this situation, probably neither of them will get to you at all, right? Because the Uber Eats dude is probably shot dead in his car, and the police are all exhausted resources. So now they can't get to you. Oh, great. Now the Uber Eats guy is dead, so they can't even get to the Uber Eats guy. And if he isn't dead, he probably got mugged for his food, right? That he was supposed to deliver to you. Honestly, like it's... All right, so you want to defund the police? Look at Chaz Chop. You want to defund the police? Look at, JFAZ. I don't know what, being lost in translation here, but this isn't good for anybody. In fact, so much damage is happening to people that didn't even ask for this, people who are just trying to live their lives in a city that they moved to, right? Or their family probably moved to and they grew up in, right? The very streets that these people grew up in, and they can't even live a safe life because now they have to worry about gunshots spiking in JFAZ to unseen numbers in Chicago to Chicago, which is almost second to Caracas, I probably would imagine, and being probably the most, at least the highest gun deaths got to be Chicago in America. But I digress. The situation is just so unattainable here. I don't even understand how you could see this, right? Whether you're supporting Biden or whether you supported Trump, like, dude, nobody should be looking at this and thinking this is okay. Because I know the people living there absolutely don't think it's okay. And this is evidenced by the man who's sitting on the rooftop with an AR-15. Police couldn't get in because their resources were exhausted. Why were their resources exhausted? Because they don't have the money to get any more resources. So this is all they have. Let's keep reading, right? Let's see what else they got here. 10:45, right? So 10:16 was the last paragraph. 10:45 p.m. Third 911 call of the night as some neighbors are picking up the shell casings. People near the fist statue in the zone repeatedly yell, "Get out of here." Then a gun is fired from near the fist statue. 4 men come out of the zone to tell the neighbors they weren't shooting at you. Like, that makes it better. I mean, you shouldn't be shooting at all. How could... Okay. All right. So Rhode Island, right? Let's take Rhode Island, right? Rhode Island's a small state in America, in the Union. Nobody's just walking around shooting here. You know what I mean? At least not often. Not very often at all. Almost never is somebody just walking around shooting. And yet, more times so far in this paragraph, we haven't even made it all the way. We haven't even made it all the way down, right? There's still more timestamps after this, but so far in this portion, more shootings have happened this night in one block, in a one block area, than I think have happened in Rhode Island in like 6 years. Like, this is insane. How could anybody imagine that this is all right, that this is okay, right? Just endless violence all in one night, you know what I mean? Well, spread it around 4 nights here. Just like, this is horrible. And this thing has been up for 9 months now? Like, this is sick. Like, how is this even okay? But nobody will ever talk about this. These timestamps, man, these things are absolutely gruesome. March 12th. A neighbor trying to access home is met in the alley by 3 young teen girls leaving the zone, pushing a car with no license plate. They say they ran out of gas. They are asked who the driver is. No answer. They are asked whose car it is. No answer. They are asked what? They are asked where they are trying to go, and they point to a home. A woman comes out of the home and tells them they can't park there. They walk away, abandoning the car. That's weird. That's kind of really just trying to steal a car. Chicago people can't have shit in Chicago. While a neighbor is reporting the abandoned car, she observes a group of well-dressed people being followed by reporters. Neighbors walk into the zone to find attorney Benjamin Crump and the family of George Floyd, with the Minneapolis City Council Vice President Andrea Jenkins. They are greeting businesses owned by people of color who are being impacted by the loss of business in the zone. They inform the group that they will be giving them $500,000 to the business owners. 2 more vehicles with no plates or temporary stickers pass by driving inside the zone. That's just funk. That's just that whole paragraph. March 12th, 5 p.m., all the way down past neighbors met in an alleyway with girls pushing a car to the city council, and they're talking about offering the businesses $500,000. You want to offer the businesses $500,000? Okay, that actually sounds like a pretty fair deal. A bit low, in my opinion, for what they have to go through, but it seems like a pretty good start. Now, where I'd go from that is cracking the zone open and freeing the people inside, because it's an autonomous zone, but so far, these people don't feel free. Free is me being able to walk down the street in the suburb and not have to worry about worry about getting mugged or shot. That's freedom. This, you can't leave your house. You can't leave your house because you'll get shot. Oh, but don't worry, they weren't shooting at you, but they were still shooting. Right? Bullet misses, hits you, hits your kid. Like, and this isn't even all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to get into the award show that happened with Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. It's like women's rights used to really push for something. It really used to mean something. Now I'm getting off track here because of this, but you know what? That's what's happening. I'm not going to go any further into this because it just doesn't even. It doesn't get any better. But you know what? While I still have time left, let's get into the other topic here, right? So, the award show. I didn't watch it, but man, I heard a lot of static about it. So, and of course, the static I did hear about it was all positive stuff. So I'm like, okay, fine. So, I see a couple of posts on Instagram. I see a couple of posts on social media about what happened. And it's like, you have Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B, right? Kids watch the award show. They watch the award ceremony. They do. And the problem is, if this is what kids have to look up to, then how much further do we as a people go, in these next few years, right? So, and like, it was practically just softcore porn, lesbian porn. Really, is what they showed on stage. I mean, like, practically you had Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B just almost scissoring on stage. And like, you're trying to inspire the next generation of kids, right? 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 16-year-olds, all the way up to 17 or 18 years old. You're trying to inspire the next generation of kids to do better, to be more, especially in women's rights, whether they're the feminist movements or just people who, support, betterment for women, right? Which I think everybody could support, betterment for women. Now, whether you want to define that as third stage, feminist or third wave feminist, or, simply just caring, kind of like the difference between Black Lives Matter, the group, and Black Lives Matter, the statement, because yes, Black lives do matter just as well as my life, just as well as, my Hispanic life just as well as the Asian life, the white life. And it's like, for trying to set up the next generation, for trying to give them something to aspire to, there's really not a whole lot there for them to grasp at. This is just garbage. This is absolutely unfiltered trash just being shown to the younger generations. Like, women don't want to be objectified. Okay, that's a fair statement. That makes sense. I don't want women to be objectified. But you're not doing yourselves a favor by idolizing these types of people. It doesn't do anything for you, right? So, for a long time, conservatives have been talking about how the porn industry ruins your mind. And I agree, right? I think it does. I think it's absolutely degrading to yourself, and it's not something that you really should get. It's not something that you should let consume you. It's not something that you should, partake in. But with so much of society being almost sold on sex, it's like you look at songs like WAP, right? And it's like, yeah, TikTok. All the TikToks of women twerking in, small waist, pretty face, big bank, I think is the one that, and it's like I skip right past these on Instagram. I skip right past them on Instagram because I'm looking at them and I'm like, is this really, like, at first, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, look at the girl, but then I'm starting to think to myself, like, is this really what women are trying to show that they offer? Because it seems to be less and less valuable towards themselves, let alone valuable to men who are looking for somebody to spend the rest of their life with. And I congratulate you if you're a man, who is, 20 right now, whether it's 27 or 20 even, if you're in those 20s, that's awesome for you if you found somebody that you're able to settle down for the rest of your life. But I feel like for people younger than me, I'm 20 even, for people younger than me, that's probably going to get way harder and way harder and way harder until it becomes almost a battle of the sexes, right? Man against women. And it's like, what a regression of the times, right? So we're supposed to be so much better, and we're supposed to be so much more responsible as people. But then you look at this and it's like, it's taking us backwards in time to like pre first wave feminist, when they got the vote to, the right to vote, right? Or pre feminists with the We Can Do It girl of World War II, when women, took up working in the factories for the war effort. Now it's like you're going backwards. Because when I look at like songs like WAP, and I look at other trends similar to that, all I just see just flat out porn. Like, there's nothing else that these people can offer. There's nothing else that Cardi B could offer, Megan Thee Stallion could offer, than just a symbol of sex. No different than the Pornhub jingle. And I mean that. And it's like, all the things that we talked about, from hate crime, right? Or what isn't a hate crime, to the problems going on in Chicago, to Megan Thee Stallion, and how I feel about. So, you got to think to yourself, I think women should be armed. I do. I think women should go out. I think they should have their concealed carry license, and I think they should be trained to use firearms. Not because I don't think men have a rape problem, but I always feel that women could be more safe. And you could argue, well, women shouldn't have to. I'm sorry, but even the Bible acknowledges that evil doesn't just go away when you want it to. It's always there. It's always going to be there. Just as long as God gave us the ability to have free will to be judged in the end. Yes, I am religious. There will always be evil. And as long as humanity has free will to be free, they can make the choice whether they want to be evil or not. I choose not to be evil. Particularly, I know a great host of men who choose not to be evil. But I'm sorry, there will always be evil people out there, and there is nothing you could do. right? So how about you arm yourself? And if you ever feel like you're in that situation, you know that you're packing heat, and you know that you have something that you've brought to the table that will allow you to better walk away from the situation unharmed. I mean, an armed society is a polite society. I absolutely believe that 100% to the bone. You know, and again, Texas is a good example of this. When you compare its gun violence to, in its major cities, even to the Bronx, when you compare them to Providence, when you compare them to Chicago. I mean, it's just how it is. You know, when you're able to deal damage back suddenly, the bullies don't want to bully you anymore. I mean, that's a lesson you learn in public school. Granted, I've never had to get into a fight, but I know that for a fact that once you put the bully down, the bully won't bully you anymore. At least in most cases. But I just I hear a lot of static over the channels and over the sound waves and stuff, and I wanted to kind of throw out a video. Again, this is just a solo video in the middle of the week, something I want to put out for you guys. It's just what a world we live in, with a president who can't think, a vice president with no personality, and an entire party just seemingly hell-bent on the destruction of the people, right? The working class. I'll cover this more in depth Sunday, and we'll talk a little bit more Sunday when I have Jaden with me. But yeah, I wanted to put this video out. I wanted to give you guys something, just kind of talking about how I feel, and it's unscripted. So if I'm stuttering and stuff, that's why. I just wanted to kind of shoot from the cuff on this. But honestly, go check out my last video. And obviously I'm trying to grow. So I'm trying to, obviously I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get out there and trying to get big. So we're doing different things, I had a gear review. I still plan on doing, showing some footage of airsoft later on in the future. And I got all that set up. Maybe showing some footage at the range. Obviously, again, when I get that all set up. But, I just, trying to get out there. So honestly, the views, share this with. The best way for people to see it is for you to just share it. So share this with your friends. Leave a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe. If there's something you want me to talk about, if there's something that you think I could do better, Jaden and I could do better, or whatever is done. Feedback, like I keep saying, feedback is absolutely imperative. So always leave a comment, and share this around, send this out to people the people you think you might enjoy this. Just here to do whatever. But honestly, it's a crazy time. And as I always say, I believe it was Reagan who said it, but the right knows what the left's thinking. It's not hard for them to step outside the wheelhouse and imagine what the left's thinking, right? So the right thinks, the left is wrong, but it's so much harder for the left. The left just straight up think the right is evil. I'm a child of an immigrant. My father is the grandchild of immigrants. Great-grandchild of immigrants, rather. I digress. The point is, for me, I'm not evil. Here I am, an immigrant. I'm not evil. But, I'll see you guys next week. This weekend, actually. So